What's up again, people? Just got back from the mountains. It was so beautiful up there. We're like 4,900 feet up. Amazing weather. Now I'm decked down in the valley and it's like 100 degrees. Blazing hot. Although, I appreciate the sun. I like to go out and absorb a little every day. Sunlight kills like 90% of viruses. Just being exposed to the UV lights. It's always good to go out and soak up some sun every day, and also you get your vitamin D and all that good stuff. But man, I can see why some desert cultures, exonerated the moon and Venus, or that crescent moon and the five-pointed star, because sometimes the sun can be cursed. It's hot. Man, I saw the other day, I was watching sacred geometry video, and I was just seeing how many people attack and call it evil and all this stuff, and or symbols, these arcs and angles, these pentagrams and octagon, all of these symbols that correspond and correlate with the sun in our bodies. People call it evil, and it's kind of scary because then you just don't know yourself and how it relates to you. All of those symbols are just a reflection of you and the universe. I guess if you want to look at it as evil, that's the perception you have, but evil is what people do, I don't know, maybe that's more to it than that. There's 2 times in my life where I think I've been confronted with something extremely evil. And both times I felt it walk into the room, and it was very scary. One of those times, within a few hours, that gentleman murdered somebody. And the other time was creepy. Guy said some of the strangest stuff to me I've ever heard, and looked at me like he couldn't stand me. And I don't want to get all into that, but it's crazy how what we perceive as evil and stuff, just looking at a simple shape on a wall, or some people call it Illuminati symbols. If you know yourself, you know what those symbols are. All you have to, you're just illuminating yourself. But it's sad that evil is inherently in men. And I talk a lot about this little thing I wear around my neck, this little sacrament, sacred mind, secret mind, a mushroom. And a lot of people believe that it can help humanity and it will save humanity and everything. But what I kind of believe is that it can bring out the best or the worst in humanity. If you look back throughout history, you'll see some cultures using these sacred psychedelic herbs and plants, and they're incredible thinkers and mathematicians and philosophers, and are drawn into the beauty of the world and the universe and want to understand it on a deeper level to find harmony. But then you find these other cultures who are taking it the extreme opposite throughout history, where they're using the same substances, and they're cutting people's hearts out, sacrificing them, rolling their dead bodies and their heads down pyramids, and stacking up, just they're sociopathic murderers. And maybe that's one of the reasons why it was been banned through the pharmacratic inquisition, or through the churches, or through the governments, or the mind control government is governation, the mente. But maybe one of the reasons that these have been banned is because it brings out the best or the worst in people. I mean, just a few years back, some MMA fighter took some psilocybin mushrooms and like staked his friend down to his kitchen floor and cut his heart out and cooked it up and ate it. What is it? I mean, potentially maybe these things can enlighten us and also darken us, and it's all about, maybe that's why all these years, I really think the more you study history and you see the extremes of humanity that were taken from cultures that were using these on a regular basis. Of course, not every person in every society was using them, but maybe the higher-ups in the caste systems and such. But, the elites, the priests, the shamans, all that good stuff. You can go back to the ancient Greeks, and of course they have their flaws, but they brought us all kinds of great knowledge through the Ulyssean mysteries and stuff, where they were basically getting some kind of an LSD, and they'd have all these mystery cults where they'd contemplate the universe. So it's like it could bring out the best and the worst in us. It could lift up humanity, or it could turn us into something dark. And more often than not, I think it can be a positive thing. But there's something inside of us that can switch. Is it a nature versus nurture thing? Is it something that nature just inherently installs in a random percentage of us? Or is it a nurture? Is it the nurturing that children are provided at a young age that turns us into a darker individual? And I've said it in my other videos. I think Jesus said it best. Buddha says to walk that middle path. And Jesus says, when you're one eye, you're single eye. Be single. And you be full of light, lest you be full of light. And when you're one eye, be single, unless you be full of darkness, lest you be full of darkness. So when we awaken this Kundalini energy, or we tap into this parasympathetic nervous system, we peek out our conscious expansion, or whatever you want to call it, or we want to just manipulate our brain chemistry, there could be two things that happen. And from my own experience, having with my friends and going out and tripping in the woods, sometimes, someone new would come in and they'd try a psychedelic and it wouldn't go so well. A few of us would be just mesmerized by the beauty of nature, throwing rocks in ponds and watching the ripples run up the mountainside and hugging trees and picking off flowers and staring at them intensely and looking at the fractals in them and everything. And then there's our buddy over there taking out all of his aggressions on a fence pole, kicking the shit out of it, bending it down to the ground with his superhuman strength and screaming out absurdities and stuff that doesn't make sense to any of the rest of us, and we just kind of give him his space and let him go through his loop. But maybe that's why all of this stuff was pulled back, and it seems to have stabilized humanity in some sense. There's not as many cults, or cultures, I should say, doing terrible things, but then there are, and we're still killing each other. We're still doing terrible things. I don't know. I don't think any one thing can save us like that. Maybe that great philosopher king. We live in a republic here in the United States, and Plato says the only way that the republic would ever work was if that great philosopher king took over. And why do we need a king? There's something about human beings where we always wind up falling into this caste system, this order, this pyramidal order, no matter what we are, this hierarchical order. We're all wind up subject to it sometimes. Alright. I'm done with my cancer stick. And probably get done rambling. I'll leave it all at that. I'll get into all that crazy caste system stuff some other time. I've been thinking about that lately. But have a good day, people. One love, be blessed. Stay cool. Peace.